France warns Donald Trump against threatening EU sovereign borders. Foreign minister hits out after U.S. president-elect refuses to rule out military action to take control of Greenland. France has warned Donald Trump against threatening the sovereign borders of the European Union after the U.S. president-elect refused to rule out military action to take control of Greenland, an autonomous territory of the EU member Denmark. The French foreign minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, told France Interradio, "There is no question of the EU letting other nations in the world, whoever they may be, attack its sovereign borders." He added that, while he did not believe the U.S. would invade Greenland, "We have entered an era that is seeing the return of the law of the strongest." In an hour-long press conference on Tuesday, Trump refused to rule out using military force to take the Panama Canal and Greenland and suggested he intended to use economic force to make Canada part of the U.S. His eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., flew to Greenland's capital, Nuuk, on what he called a private visit shortly after the comments. He remained a few hours and said he did not intend to meet government officials. Last month, his father, who takes office on January 20th, said U.S. control of Greenland was an absolute necessity for America's economic security. Greenland, an autonomous territory of the Kingdom of Denmark that was granted home rule in 1979, has informed Trump it is not for sale. Mette Frederiksen, the Danish Prime Minister, and Mette Frederiksen, Greenland's PM, have both said it is for Greenlanders to decide their future. There is a lot of support among the people of Greenland that Greenland is not for sale and will not be in the future either. Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders, Frederiksen said. Greenland, which has a population of about 57,000 people, is the world's biggest island. Since 2009, it has had the right to hold a referendum to decide whether it wishes to be independent. Egede is a member of the pro-independence community of the People IA Party. Egede said last week Greenland is not for sale and will never be for sale. Egede was scheduled to meet the Danish king on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Danish time, 1 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It is likely that Trump's threats and advances on Greenland will be discussed. Arriving at Copenhagen Airport late on Tuesday night, Egede responded to Trump's refusal to rule out military or economic coercion in order to gain control of Greenland, saying they were serious statements. The things that have come out, I think, are some serious statements. But we'll take it from there, he told the Danish broadcaster. His original meeting with the king, scheduled for earlier in the day, was cancelled at the last minute, with Egede's office citing diary gymnastics. But Donald Trump Jr.'s visit to Greenland on Tuesday led to the cancellation being viewed by some as a snub and embarrassment to the king, who recently changed the royal coat of arms to more prominently include symbols of Greenland and the Faroe Islands, which are both autonomous territories of Denmark. Barrot also urged the EU to resist threats from Elon Musk against a number of European leaders, notably Germany's Social Democrat Chancellor Olaf Scholz. If the European Commission does not know how to protect us against this interference or these threats of interference, then it must give member states, including France, the ability to protect itself. Barrot said, "These days I only have one rule when it comes to New Year resolutions. Do not, under any circumstances, write them down. Don't put them on social media, or on a post-it note stuck to your bathroom mirror, or in the notes section of your phone. Chances are high you won't keep your resolutions, but as long as you don't write them down, chances are equally high you'll have no memory of making them by next December. I've learned there is simply no point in negotiating with future you, this person who no longer shares your goal to write a play, or to read 50 books in a year. Don't let their failure be your failure. Besides, if you only manage to read 9 books in 2025, you'll still be 9 books less stupid than you were in 2024. In the meantime, here's something you can do right now to override future you's lack of commitment. Support The Guardian's work in 2025. You'll be supporting independent journalism at a time when it's more desperately needed than ever, and I promise that we will never send you an email reminding you to practice your Italian. If you appreciate what The Guardian does and want. Meta is ushering in a world without facts, says Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Ressa, says decision to end fact-checking in U.S. means dangerous times ahead for journalism and democracy. The Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Ressa has said Meta's decision to end fact-checking on its platforms and remove restrictions on certain topics means extremely dangerous times lie ahead for journalism, democracy, and social media users, the American Filipino journalist said. Mark Zuckerberg's move to relax content moderation on the Facebook and Instagram platforms would lead to a world without facts, and that was a world that's right for a dictator. Mark Zuckerberg says it's a free speech issue. That's completely wrong, Ressa told the AFP News Service. Only if you're profit-driven can you claim that. Only if you want power and money can you claim that. This is about safety. Ressa, a co-founder of the Rappler News site, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021 in recognition of her courageous fight for freedom of expression. She faced multiple criminal charges and investigations after publishing stories critical of the former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Ressa rejected Zuckerberg's claim that fact-checkers had been too politically biased and had destroyed more trust than they've created. Journalists have a set of standards and ethics, Ressa said. What Facebook is going to do is get rid of that, and then allow lies, anger, fear, and hate to infect every single person on the platform. The decision meant extremely dangerous times ahead for journalism, democracy, and social media users, she said. Zuckerberg, the founder and chief executive of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, said on Tuesday he would remove fact-checkers in the U.S. and replace them with a crowdsourced moderating service similar to the Community Notes feature on the rival social media platform, X. But he added that Meta would also get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse, and work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. Meta has said it has no immediate plans to remove fact-checkers outside the U.S., although the rest of the changes will be implemented worldwide. Ressa said she would do everything she could to ensure information integrity. This is a pivotal year for journalism survival, she said. We'll do all we can to make sure that happens. In October, the human rights group Amnesty International claimed that authorities in the Philippines were using Facebook to red tag young activists, a term referring to the labeling of campaigners and others as alleged communist rebels and terrorists. In 2021, a Meta whistleblower, Francis Haugen, claimed there was a lack of safety controls in non-English language markets, such as Africa and the Middle East, and that Facebook was being used by human traffickers and armed groups in Ethiopia. I did what I thought was necessary to save the lives of people, especially in the global south, who I think are being endangered by Facebook's prioritization of profits over people, she told The Observer. At the time, Meta, then operating under the corporate brand of Facebook, said the premise that it prioritized profit over safety was false and that it had invested $13 billion, £11 billion, in protecting users. In 2018, after the massacre of Rohingya Muslims by the military in Myanmar, Facebook admitted that the platform had been used to foment division and incite offline violence. 3 years later, the human rights group Global Witness claimed that Facebook was promoting content that incited violence against political protesters in Myanmar. Facebook said it had proactively detected 99% of the hate speech removed from the platform in the country.